So in this video I'll be talking about how you can approach philosophy. So from my own experience I have came to the conclusion that there are several ways to approach philosophy as a subject. So number one is the historical approach. So in this approach, for example, if there is someone who is interested in Western philosophy, so in historical approach we will start by pre-Socratic philosophers such as Thales, Anaximander, Anaximenes, Heraclitus, Parmenides. Then we will slowly move to Plato, Aristotle, to the medieval philosophy, then to the modern philosophy of Descartes, Francis Bacon, John Locke, Bishop Berkeley, Hegel, Kant, Hume, Nietzsche, and then we'll move to the contemporary philosophy of logical positivism, analytical philosophy, Russell, Wittgenstein, existentialism, phenomenology, and so on. But this method works very well for the people who are very serious and who want a systematic approach to their learning, and also for the people who want an entire arc of Western philosophy. They want to go actually very deep, seriously in the field of study. But there are also readers who are less serious about this systematic development or historicity of the ideas. They are much interested in particular themes, and here comes the second point or second kind of approach, which is called the thematic approach. In thematic approach, for example, there is someone who is interested in existentialism. So rather than starting from the entire beginning of like pre-Socratic philosophers, just to get a taste or just to learn about existentialism, he will actually read the literature that is around the existentialism thing. For example, the books by Jean-Paul Sartre, Kierkegaard, or Albert Camus, Franz Kafka, Dostoevsky, Nietzsche, and so on. But it is a bit different for Nietzsche though, because some of his books actually require some overview or at least some understanding of the previous philosophers. So yeah. Now, so it is not really always necessary for someone who is actually less serious or who is much selective about his learning, or someone who just wants to get a taste of these particular labels, like for example someone interested in materialism or existentialism, idealism, or so on. They do not really need to learn it from the beginning, for example, entirely from its roots, pre-Socratic philosophers, and then to entire historical development. They can actually read literature around it and they can have a decent overview about the topic. Then there comes a third kind of approach, which is a bit fragile of all these three though, which is you start in this approach. I do not have a particular name for this approach, and in this approach you actually start with the authors or books or philosophers that actually interests you. For example, if you are actually interested in the works of Albert Camus, or if you're really interested in the works of for example let's say Dostoevsky, or for example if you're interested in the works of Jean-Paul Sartre, then actually you can go to their primary texts, or you can, for that respect, you can go to the commentary texts and you can have a decent overview about their ideas. And then, but I think it is a much more fragile technique or method that might not work well for all the purposes, and it might sometimes come off as a shallow way of doing it. It is a very risky way to do philosophy. But I think my personal opinion is have a holistic approach to your learning, which is when you combine these three techniques into a singular technique, which is you can read it historically, you can read it thematically, and you can also choose author by author, and you just mold it according to your own purposes and own intents. And I think that would actually work the best, because that's how we can make our learning much more individual and much more meaningful, rather than following strict rigid schedules and strict rigid systems. We can actually make our learning much more fruitful, and we can grow as individual learners. So that's it. Anirbit Hazra signing off.